This is Focus, the video news magazine of Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering, with your host, Jackson Rogers. Stone Labs is a research center for Ohio State University out in Lake Erie. The focus is on the environmental impact on the lake, but it also includes alternative energy, a solar array.
I'm Eddie Rorigi. 12 of us set sail for a real adventure on Lake Erie. I'll take you along as it anchors away for Gibraltar.
Just imagine being over 5,000 miles from home, and home is a country at war. One TTA 7th grade student has come to America from the Ukraine, and he has thoughts and memories about America and his homeland.
I'm Cash Pietrowski, and I had a sit down with one of our newest 7th grade students. He's from the Ukraine, and he's definitely far from home.
It's that time of year when ghosts and goblins roam the Field of Dreams drive-in in Liberty Center. It's Fright Night for TTA students in all grades, an event that's become a TTA tradition.
I'm Emery Alafa with TTA's biggest party of the year, our Halloween Bash, standing out here in the Field of Screams.
Now, from the campus of Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering in Toledo, Ohio, here's your host, Jackson Rogers.
Welcome to another edition of Focus. Gilligan's Island was a 60s TV sitcom about 7 people who took a 3-hour cruise and ended up marooned on an island. Our solar and wind energy class took an island trip on Lake Erie, but they made it back safely. Their focus was a lesson in practical alternative energy use and its impact on the environment. Focus reporter Eddie Rorigi is in studio and was among the crew when it was anchors away to Gibraltar.
Our big adventure began aboard the Miller Ferry as we headed for a rough ride to Gibraltar Island. All 12 students in TTA's Solar and Wind Energy course were on board to begin a day-long outing. We got our first-hand look at the environmental impact on Lake Erie at Ohio State University's Stone Labs. This was a true hands-on experience aboard OSU's research boat, Gibraltar 3. The primary focus was on the algae that threatens our lake water. Climate change plays a major role in the lake's condition, and students took water samples, returned to the Stone Labs, and were able to test the water and check it under a microscope. Both Mr. Richardson and Mrs. Kuviak accompanied the students on their adventure. Mrs. Kuviak is no stranger to this type of research. In 2015, she went to the Arctic with National Geographic, and the following year, she went to Antarctica. Who knew?
It was really exciting to take students out on the boat to go to Stone Lab. It was a lot of their first time being on a boat, and it was a big adventure. It was a lot of fun.
For Mr. Richardson, it was a catch-22. While he enjoyed the outing, the boat ride was a little stomach-churning.
The waves were a little rough, but we got our sea legs and everything worked out great. Kids had a great time.
The alternative energy aspect of the trip was the fact that the solar energy powers approximately 25% of the island. Their solar array is very similar to this one here at TTA. Being an island, the sources for electric supply is relatively limited, and the energy created by the solar array is an important part of the Stone Labs operation. Students had the opportunity to walk around the island and see how climate change has impacted the lake and the land itself. This gave several students some insight into future careers in this area of study.
After the Stone Lab trip we went on in October, after I saw what they were doing, I thought to myself that this might be a career I might take interest in as I grow older and get out of high school.
Back on dry land here at TTA, plans call for the installation of a solar array of the new electric vehicle building, currently under construction. Reporting for Focus, I'm Eddie Rorigi.
Imagine being more than 5,000 miles from home, and home is under siege by the Russian army. Victor is a 7th grader here at TTA. He and his mother are in the U.S. from the Ukraine, where his country is at war. He has some thoughts on his family, his impression of the United States, and TTA. Focus reporter Cash Pietrowski sat down with Victor and learned what it's like to be far from home.
My Russian and Ukrainian are not so good, so I'll let Victor introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Vickor Lahun. I am from Kryvyi Rih. It's a city in Ukraine.
Kryvyi Rih is a beautiful industrial city located in the central portion of the country. It's the 7th largest city in Ukraine, and it's the hometown of Ukrainian President Zelensky. Sadly, because of its location and its heavy industrial base, it has been a major target of Russia in the war. Victor and his mother are both here in the U.S. from Ukraine. They are staying with senior Xander Brown and his family, and this has been a unique experience for both Victor and Xander.
Well, it's not too different from, normal. It's just, there's a couple more people in the house, a little bit bigger dinners. For the most part, he's just a normal kid living his life, coming to school, coming home doing homework, playing games in his spare time, and we're happy to have him.
It's different, US versus Ukraine, because for first, in US, each family has car, not single car, minimum 2 cars. In Ukraine, it's only 1 car for a family.
Back in Ukraine, Victor started studying English when he was in the 6th grade. He speaks fluent Russian and Ukrainian, and, as he puts it, some Chinese. Here at TTA, he's taking both English with Miss Rydeen and English as a second language.
Schools are so big in the USA compared to Ukraine. In Ukraine, after 4th grade, you go to the middle school, but you stay in the same school. And you don't have teachers for other grades. You have these teachers forever.
His favorite subject is math, and his second favorite is social studies. Miss Asmus is a social studies teacher.
In terms of social studies, Victor's been a great addition to TTA this year. He knows a lot about geography and is inspiring the rest of the 7th grade to do better, and shares a lot about the culture of the Ukraine, which the kids find fascinating and is a great addition to the classroom.
He's a pleasure to have in class because he asks good questions when he doesn't understand something, and when he does understand something, he will go right through all the work, and then when the other students have questions, sometimes they're learning they can ask him for help, and he'll help them.
Victor's father is still in Ukraine and doesn't plan to come to America. So what is Victor's take on the war between Ukraine and Russia?
I'm worried about my family and other people who live in Ukraine, because they can lose family or kids or something important for them. And I also worry about people who live in Russia, because they live under so bad leadership, who is their president. And now they meeting for no war in the world.
In years past, we've had students from many different foreign countries, but Victor is the first from the Ukraine, and he's here at a particularly difficult time in his own country. Reporting for Focus, I'm Cash Pietrowski.
It's that time of year again when ghosts and goblins roam the Field of Dream drive-in at our annual Halloween party. This is the party of the year and not one to be missed. There's food, dancing, games, costumes, and so much more. Focus reporter Emery Alafa followed the action and brings you to the Field of Screams.
A caravan of yellow buses provided the transportation from school to the Field of Dreams drive-in in Liberty Center. On board were more than 225 students ready to have a great time. This was our annual Halloween party, way out in the country. Some students wore amazing costumes, others just came to have fun on a Friday evening, and it was a blast. This is simply the greatest place for the party. It's our Field of Screams, and our former teacher, Rod Saunders, and his wife, Donna, open this venue to TTA every year.
We've been doing this for about 15 years. It started back when some kids that went to TTA, worked out here, and said, let's do the party here. And Gary Thompson gave us the okay, and we've been doing it just about every year since.
What's a party without food? And that was the first stop right off the buses. Parents and staff pitched in to help serve the hot dogs, burgers, and fries. It'd be impossible to host this event and feed this many without the help of our dedicated parents and faculty.
Actually, this is my first year here. I have a 7th grader attending TTA, and it's really exciting to be out here in the country, watching the kids enjoy themselves and socialize. I'm so happy to be here.
Just started 7th grade. When he first heard about the party, he had talked to me about it and said he wasn't really sure if he wanted to come. Throughout the week after they had mentioned it, he was excited, kept asking me to go, so that's why we're here.
Although costumes were totally optional, many students got in the spirit of the party and dressed up with some really creative and unique costumes. Even some faculty members made the effort, and there was a contest to pick the best of the best.
It's been really fun dressing up to come out here and do this. This took me a while, but it's great that it came out pretty all right. The party's been real fun. It's been a good time so far, and I expect to have a good night this night.
The Halloween party this year is pretty awesome. There's a lot of costumes, the food's pretty great, and everybody's really creative.
Of course, there was dancing in the main building. Our guest DJ was Mrs. Finley's husband, John, with a playlist of student requests, and he kept the music coming all evening. Outside, students ate picnic style and just enjoyed the wide open space. We lucked out with the weather. This year, it was close to 80 degrees and no rain. Juniors and seniors had their own space with the game room. A favorite feature is always the fire pit, a chance in the evening to spend some time with friends. This year, the party was cut a little short so that the return to school would be earlier than in past years and parents wouldn't have to wait so long to pick up students.
The moon was out, and that means it's time to go home. Thanks to the Saunders for hosting us. Outstanding in the field of screams, I'm Emery Alafa, reporting for Focus.
Well, that's all for this edition of Focus. In the coming months, we'll have more stories about the various happenings at TTA. Focus is a production of the TTA Video Production class. Until next time, I'm Jackson Rogers. Thanks for watching.